I wanted to make this quick video because as always, just finished watching a Lewis Rossman video. And when it comes to the effort that he and others have put forth when it comes to the right to repair movement, I couldn't agree more with the importance of being able to repair the devices that you yourself have purchased, or being able to take those devices to third-party repair shops and allow them to do the work that's necessary to repair the devices. It's completely uncalled for and unfair and should be illegal, but isn't, for these device manufacturers to lock down their pieces of hardware, whether it's through making replacement components unavailable, or implementing these software locks, or just making it just downright almost impossible for you, the consumer, to repair a device on your own or without the device manufacturer getting involved somehow. As a person who used to repair just about everything, I have seen how difficult it's become uh, with regards to repairing cell phones, laptops, and other small electronics. And in Lewis Rossman's last video, not at this point, it's probably not his last one, but one of the more recent ones, he let us know that Apple has implemented a software lock on the little sensor that detects whether or not the laptop is open or closed. I don't remember the exact name, and if you want, you can go to his channel and watch that video. And if I remember, I'll put the link down in the description. But essentially, he's saying that this little component isn't anything new in terms of technological advancements. It's something that's been around for a while, and he has been able to repair this piece of hardware in the past, or this little chip in the past, and now Apple has made it impossible for him to do it. And again, I'll link the video, hopefully in the description. And again, it's not something that would drastically impact the user experience. And he does a good job of expressing himself, as he always does. And yeah, I agree that Apple or any other company should not lock down something as simple as that, as a piece of hardware or a chip that determines whether or not the laptop is open or closed, so that way the laptop can go to sleep. As we all know, you open your laptop, it wakes up, you close it, it goes to sleep. Nothing groundbreaking about that in 2023. Yeah, he should be able, as a professional, he should be able to take a customer's laptop into the shop, do what he needs to do, and repair it. And that's it. Now, when it comes to Apple specifically, I do hate many of their practices when it comes to all of their devices. The iPhone, don't really know too much about the iPad, but whatever. But the Mac, and I guess I could just, the iPhone and the Mac. And since he's talking about a MacBook not being able to repair that himself, I figured I would express my thoughts and opinions on, I guess, the ability for Apple to do some of the things that they do because of what the product offers the customer. So as I sit here with my M1 MacBook Air, which I've talked about this ad nauseum, there's something about it. And I know personally, I don't agree with what Apple does when they lock it down. I don't agree with some of the other internal component changes that they've made when it comes to the M2 series. I don't agree with the fact that I can't, upgrade or the RAM, or how much Apple charges for upgrades when you buy. There's a lot of things I don't agree with. But when it comes to what this device provides me, I would say to Apple, good job. And I would say to other device manufacturers, you need to do better. So when I think about everything that's presented to us right here, we have the haptic trackpad, which the only other laptop that I've used that has some similar implementation to this is the Lenovo Z13, which it's not as good of an experience. So this trackpad is better than that. And other laptops, for the most part, have springboard trackpads where, they're physically moving. And yeah, they're fine. And right behind me is my, what is it? Precision 5470, I think. And yeah, it's a springboard trackpad and it performs fine, but the responsiveness of this haptic trackpad is just better. So for every other device manufacturer out there do better. I want to be able to buy a laptop that allows me to repair stuff on my own, but I'd be compromising on the trackpad. And that's, just item number one. The trackpad on this MacBook is better than any trackpad I've ever used. Then we just move up a little bit. The keyboard. The keyboard on this thing is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I don't mind typing on that Precision 5470 behind me. I had a 6th gen Lenovo X1 Carbon, and I really like that keyboard, but the 7th gen keyboard I didn't really care for too much. I'd never owned an 8th gen, but I had a 9th gen X1 Carbon, didn't really care for that. The T series of the Lenovo ThinkPads, didn't really care for those. So as far as I'm concerned also, this is either the best or the second best keyboard I've ever used on a laptop. So for all other device manufacturers, if you want my money at least, you need to do better. Going over to the power button right here. Integrated into the power button is Touch ID. This is the most responsive fingerprint reader on a laptop I've ever used, hands down. I mean, I just finished working, so I had to log into my Precision 5470 back there, and yeah, it works. I mean, yeah, the fingerprint reader is integrated into that power button as well, and it works, but it's not nearly as responsive. So let me just log in, make sure that there's nothing here, and I'll lock it. And yeah, like, the screen is locked. Here's my index finger. Boop. Oh, went to sleep. Oh, well, see, it logged in. So it's locked. All right. And boop. Hey, stop doing that. It keeps going to sleep. All right. Boop. Like it's so precise. So I would again say to other device manufacturers, do better. Right next to or flanking the keyboard are the speakers. And yes, they're laptop speakers, so you shouldn't expect anything amazing. But for laptop speakers, they are really good. So yeah, for the other companies out there, and of course I haven't owned all laptops ever created, but for as thin as this device is, the speaker quality on it is really good. So again, for other device manufacturers, do better. One thing that really, really bothered me was when I was shopping for a laptop before I bought that Precision 5470 behind me, I was heavily considering getting another ThinkPad, and I wanted a good screen. I wanted a good keyboard, and for the most part, ThinkPad keyboards are fine. I wanted the ability, at least, if it didn't come with the internal smart card reader. I want a good battery life, and yeah, and I think that's it. I could probably think of a few other things, but those were the main things. Now, when it comes to these MacBooks, you go in there, and to my knowledge, which I look semi regularly, when you are worried about screen quality, you have one choice, and it's the screen that comes with it. So with this MacBook Air, I could not change or get a different type of display panel for this MacBook. Yes, if I go and get the 14 or 16-inch MacBook Pros, yeah, you get a different panel, but that technically is a different product. So the screen that comes with it can be different, and that's fine. But when I was thinking about getting a Lenovo ThinkPad T14S Gen 3, I was looking at all the screen offerings, and some of the screens were just trash. And I think they had one that was good. And even the best one, I think, was fine, and I could put some stuff on the screen right now, but, you have to take my word for it or go look for yourself. But the issue that I'm having is that the model that was ready to ship came with that worse screen. And if I wanted a product that just defaultly had a good screen, I then had to go to the X1 Carbon. And the reason I didn't want the X1 Carbon is because I couldn't get the internal the internal smart card reader. So it's like I'm having to make all these compromises. Oh, also, if I got the X1 Carbon, I could not get an AMD processor inside of it. So that's another compromise where you're picking and choosing with these laptops, and it's not fair, to the consumer. Looking at this Precision 5470 behind me, I can't get AMD in that. I just can't. It's only offered with Intel. Same thing with the XPS 13. So I don't know what types of deals these companies have made, these exclusivity deals, But when it comes to the consumer, you are the one that gets screwed. And when I think about the M1 chip that's in this, and even the M2 series of chips that are in their later laptops, ARM, the ARM architecture is just running laps around the x86 architecture. So I use this for a lot of stuff. I mean, it's not my main laptop because I do prefer Windows. But when it comes to just about everything else I want to do that isn't directly work related, I use this. And I would say, yeah, to these other device manufacturers and to Intel and AMD and Snapdragon, or not Snapdragon, Qualcomm. Why is Apple's A series chips or M series chips in these MacBooks doing so much better than anything you've created? So, yes, I would say, as I've been saying, you need to do better. And then that gets me back to the point of what I was getting at is, yeah, Apple is doing a lot of things that I don't agree with. I'm not going to repeat them all again, but at the end of the day, I am satisfied with the product that they've created. So no, yeah, I can't repair anything. I mean, this is all that it's going to be. This is a laptop that was released in 2020, and the only way I'm going to get something different out of it is if I get a whole new machine. If it breaks, I'm going to probably get another one. And they know that they are able to exhibit so much control over their products as one, there's a relatively loyal fan base. And I understand it. I will say that if this was an Intel MacBook, I probably would not have bought it. I had an Intel MacBook Pro a while ago, and I've had an Intel Mac Mini, which I've gotten rid of all of those. But once they transitioned over to their own silicon, I think I have made an effort now to pay more attention to them as a company when it comes to the Mac, and yeah, it's no competition. And when it comes to comparing this, which is just their base model M1 MacBook Air to that uh, Precision 5470, 32 gigs of RAM, terabyte of storage, an Intel Core i9 12th gen processor. There's dedicated graphics in there. Like it's a good machine, but the power to efficiency ratio that I get with this, just mops the floor with that. Like that's gonna perform higher. Yeah, there's a freaking i9 in it, but it sucks the battery out. Graphics performance way better since there's dedicated graphics in there. But yeah, there are so many positive and good things about it that I'm starting to. I'm not there yet, but I'm starting to just look past all of the limitations that they've imposed on their devices because at the end of the day, I'm not repairing this every day. I don't have a business that requires me to repair it. So far, it's done everything that I needed to do. It has not stopped working. And as I have mentioned in the past, I do my best to uh, buy used products. And even though Apple is even doing things to try to limit the number of used MacBooks on the market, if you find one, which you can, it's not like it's a hard thing to do, but yeah, when you find one, and as long as the previous owner is a reputable seller and they give you a solid product, yeah, you're going to be good. So I've almost had this for an entire year, and I love it. Yeah, I think I genuinely love it because of all of the things that I mentioned. And just to recap, good trackpad, good keyboard, good integrated fingerprint reader into the power button, good laptop quality speakers, good screen, and it's the only option for this model. I don't have 5 or 6 different screen options to choose from. Good battery life. There's no fans, so it's silent. It's efficient. It's powerful for a device that isn't actively cooled. And yeah, it's thin, it's relatively light. I'm not a fan of metal chassis. Like if they made something out of like carbon fiber or something, that would be great. I mean, obviously I could just put it in a case. But yeah, it's a solid machine. So I'm on board with what Lewis Rossman is saying. But until the competition creates something that's just as good, they're going to, I mean, yeah, Apple's not going to change, but it's like I'm happy paying, I paid eBay and then, a private seller to get it. But yeah, like what else am I going to do? And I know I'm mentioning the Precision 5470 that has an Intel chip in it. The T14Ss that I was looking at, it would have had an AMD chip in it. The ThinkPad X13S comes with a Qualcomm chip in it. I Snapdragon something. I forget what it's called. XCS3 or Gem 3 or something. But some chip that it's an ARM chip. So now I'm trying to look at it from that perspective of, okay, we have an ARM chip in a ThinkPad, but from looking at other reviewers, and you're free to go take a look at those other reviewers, that chip is less powerful than the M series chip in this. You get worse battery life on that machine than you do on this. And at that point, it's like, well, I don't really care if it runs Windows, because it doesn't perform as well and as efficiently as this machine. Also, it has a 13-inch screen, which is fine because this is 13 point something either, but I think it's a little taller. The aspect ratio, I believe, is a little different. Yeah, you are able to swap out the internal NVMe SSD, but it's not a standard size one. It's it's a standard one, but it's not the 2280 that I can go buy at Best Buy right now. It's a different size. Yes, it does come with 16 gigs of RAM as opposed to the 8 that are on the base model of this. But as I was complaining about the screen options, that's a problem. There was one more thing that was on the tip of my tongue that I was thinking about as I was talking. Battery life efficiency. Hopefully I'll think of something. Wait a minute, it's there, and I'm gonna cut this out. Here it is. Yeah, the price. So I forget what it starts out brand new. It's still available for sale on Lenovo's website, so take a look. As you know, I'm always trying to buy used stuff. Even buying used ThinkPad X13S, whatever, I haven't found one. Well, I can, but not regularly have I found one that was as cheap as this one. So since I already own this MacBook Air, it would be stupid, in my opinion, for me to get rid of it to then get a product that might cost more, isn't as powerful, has worse battery life. So I think in closing, after 17 minutes, and I'll chop some of this down, I agree with Louis Rossmann. I agree with any of these third-party repair places. Apple should not be locking things down the way that they do. But they are able to do it for a multitude of reasons. But one of the reasons is because the competition isn't anywhere close to providing what Apple is providing. So for all of the other device manufacturers out there, they need to do better.